Allbirds sent me a pair of their all-wool shoes. I put them on. They were so white and breathable and comfortable. They didn't have any fancy logos on them. They just felt good on my feet, and they were nice. They looked good, and they felt good. Do you know why? Because the most comfortable shoes in the world are made of all wool. Even Time Magazine said that. And they've got a couple styles. They've got the Wool Runner, which is your go-to lace-up shoe for everywhere you go. It's flexible, supportive, and so light. They take you seamlessly through your entire day, whether you're at work or you're playing at night. And they also have the Wool Lounger. It's breathable, lightweight slip-on shoe that's perfect whether I'm traveling on a red-eye across the country or going to see a basketball game. The comfort, style, and sustainability do not have to be mutually exclusive. Allbirds is dedicated to making stylish, comfortable footwear that uses premium natural materials designed for life's everyday adventures. Allbirds textile is made from superfine New Zealand merino wool using fibers that are 20% the diameter of a human hair. So unlike the wool you may be used to, Allbirds' breathable fabric regulates temperature and moisture without any itch. The holidays are right around the corner. You should consider Allbirds for a gift for someone on your list or, better yet, yourself. They're available in a variety of colors and styles. Pick the perfect pair at allbirds.com.
Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
The season is over.
I am David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
And we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What are we
We're
doing?
going to be what they want.
We have a new NBA champion. The Golden State Warriors won the Larry O'Brien Trophy in 5 games.
Who did you pick?
Cavs in 6.
Okay.
I still think the Cavs can win in 6 games. A lot of focus today on Kevin Durant and what this all means for him. What does this mean for Kevin Durant?
We are the champions, my friend. He's only the 3rd person in the history of the NBA to join a team and in his first season, not only win a championship, but win Finals MVP. The other 2, I want to distinguish how different those situations were before I tied to KD. One was Irvin Magic Johnson. Got drafted to the Lakers, clearly, and they won a championship, jumped center as a rookie in a championship game when Kareem got injured. That was orchestrated by the organization.
Yep.
The other, Moses Malone. As he joined the Philadelphia 76ers, though he was playing at an MVP level, he chose to go to their team. Now, the distinction is one happened through the draft, one happened through free agency. I fast forward because LeBron James, when he left Miami, it was via free agency. KD, when he left OKC, via free agency.
Yep.
So now it's viewed different by everyone, including me, when you join the team that just beat you the year before.
I have absolutely no problem with it.
So now, all of a sudden, you get a chance to join that squad. As I've said all year, Draymond's emotions are the gift and the curse that actually keep on giving for the Warriors. It allowed them to win a championship a couple of seasons ago. It cost them a championship last year. But in return, as he mentioned, the consolation prize.
Kevin Durant, one of the best 2 players in the world.
And so now he joins the team. Before the NBA institutes rules that could cost you up to $50 million for leaving a team that you became an all-star and an all-NBA performer for, which is going to look a lot different for Paul George and or Gordon Hayward if they leave their respective teams. Now all of a sudden, not only do you join that squad, but you're almost the last player at an elite level that could do that without taking that level of a haircut. So it's kind of like the game is over for a while as it relates to the Warriors and the rest of the league, and that's a scary proposition.
It's interesting you say that because I don't feel that way. Like, I think a lot of today is the focus is on, well, what's the rest of the league going to do? What are the Cavaliers going to do? How is this going to change the way that people view the teams? And should you all rebuild now because the Warriors have the next 3 championships sewn up? I don't think it's like that. Injuries happen in sports. Upsets happen in sports all the time. Like, everyone has the Warriors penciled in for 3 or 4 championships. Do you really think it'll play out that way?
Whether it plays out that way, you still have to endure the process. As you mentioned, things can happen, whether injury, poor play, bad matchup, bad series. That's why sports is so phenomenal. But if you're going to bet against it, your odds ain't going to be really good, because we're seeing something that we have not seen. Just think about this. Steph basically averaged 29, 9, and 9. And we're not even talking about him.
Nope. Today's the KD Kevin Durant day. He was not the MVP once again.
LeBron James averaged a triple-double. The first player to do so in the NBA Finals.
5 gems from LeBron.
Kyrie Irving also had another 30-plus point game. The only time in Finals history where 2 teams both had guys average 25 or more points. What? Like, this was the NBA on its finest stage, and I know a lot of people talk about the journey, but you can't tell me you didn't enjoy watching in the Eastern Conference Isaiah Thomas, John Wall, Greek Freak play basketball.
That's
you can't tell me you didn't enjoy Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double. James Harden, though I'm still looking at him sideways for the way his season ended. Yep. And obviously Kawhi Leonard. But when you have 7 All-Stars playing in the NBA Finals, winners of 7 of the last 8 MVP awards, 4 by LeBron, 2 by Steph, 1 by KD. Like, this is elite level basketball. The game the Cavs won, you see the records that they shattered?
It was one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen.
Most points in a
quarter.
The games
they lost were good.
Most points in a half. And most 3-pointers made.
And everyone's waking up today like this is a problem that needs to be fixed. Like, the NBA is broken. It needs to be fixed. There's no parity in the league. The NBA is broken. Guess what? Follow the money. Highest rated non-Game 7 finals game in the history of ABC. A lot of that had to do with your performance on Countdown. I understand that. But this is not a problem that needs to be fixed. You know what I like to watch? Superstars play superstars. I like to watch the highest level of basketball being played by the best players. And we have 4 of whatever, the 5, 6, 7 best players on the planet playing together in the same series.
And usually that's where amazing plays happen, moments happen. KD's walk-up jumper in Game 3. How many signature dunks did LeBron have in this series?
Always in the first quarter, but he definitely had a lot of signature dunks.
What about Kyrie finishes?
They're countless. You could put a 50-minute tape of Kyrie finishes just from these 5 games in the finals.
What about Klay Thompson locking down on defense? You don't usually see a guy that can score 30 still locked down on D. And so all of these things took place, and this NBA Finals, as you mentioned, was great theater, highest watched in a really long time, as you pointed out, but also the start of something that we have not seen. A rivalry in the NBA Finals.
This is a rivalry. Yeah. This is a rivalry. I don't care what LeBron James says. I don't care what Steph Curry says. I don't care what the owners say. I don't care what the media says. This is a rivalry. They've played together 3 times in a row in the NBA Finals, and guess what? They will probably play each other next year in the NBA Finals as well.
And so KD now putting himself in position to be the best player on the best team. LeBron is still the best player in the game. It now creates something that LeBron has not had, because in the East, he either disabled other Hall of Fame caliber players, Wade and Bosh, and played with them, or dismantled a young MVP in Derrick Rose, Paul George. Carmelo Anthony never lifted his basketball team to the level to play against LeBron. And the current teams, the Wizards, the Raptors, and Celtics, just ain't ready.
They are all right, but they ain't real.
And so for the Cavs, as you mentioned, it's not doom or gloom. It does mean something to win the Eastern Conference, everybody.
It does. Second place is great. You know, there's 28 other teams that would have loved to lose to the Warriors.
And there's still great performances that took place. What about the shot making of J.R. Smith?
A couple times, a couple games.
In particular, in Game 5. Mm-hmm. He was really making big-time shots. He was shooting them back in the game.
5 for 5. 5 for 5. J.R. Smith, who will take any shot from anywhere, had not missed a shot at one point.
Tristan Thompson gave him some hustle plays. Now, the person that was missing is Kevin Love.
Well, he might be missing for a long time.
Now, let me get to him real quick.
We're gonna get to that later.
Okay.
Coming up later on Jalen Jacoby.
A couple other things I got to get into. David West performed well. How about Andre Iguodala's 20 points? And I'm naming so many people because that is how it looked from the gym. It was like, man, you make a mistake, bang, bucket. You make a bad pass, boom, stolen. Spectacular three, ferocious dunk. And the level of basketball was just pristine.
I loved it. You know what I love, Jalen? Celebrations. As the buzzer sounded to end the NBA Finals in 2017, the real fun began. I love championships because I love celebrations, and there were some interesting wrinkles to the celebrations. We'll take it chronologically. First, Kevin Durant, as the buzzer sounds, didn't really have a teammate to hug. Who came over and hugged him first? LeBron James. I thought that was interesting. I really thought that was interesting. Why do you think LeBron sought out KD specifically?
They have a kinship. Not necessarily fierce in any way, shape, or form, though clearly two of the top players in the game.
Also clearly two of the worst rappers in the game.
Absolutely. They've been in the studio together. Mm-hmm. They on a track together. You know they homies.
Of course.
They worked out together, played flag football together. And so even when they were allegedly jawing in Game 3, I was telling people it wasn't like they were saying anything malicious or angry.
No, let's get after each other in a competitive environment. So Kevin Durant had an amazing finals run, right? I believe he was slightly outplayed by LeBron, but he had a great finals run. He's the finals MVP. He is great at basketball, terrible at chugging beer. He is terrible at chugging beer. Not only did they have Moët champagne in the locker room, they had Bud Lights, a great beer to chug. If you were to say, David Jacoby named the best beer to chug, the easiest beer to chug, I would say Bud Light. He's got a can of Bud Light. He chugs it. Then what's he do, Jalen Rose?
Cough up a lung, let him know where I'm from. Mossy, son.
Spits it out right on the carpet.
Ain't nothing nice.
Kevin Durant, like, did he go to? He went to college. He went to University of Texas in Austin. He should have plenty of practice chugging a beer.
Cough up a lung, where I'm from. Mossy, son.
On camera? Come on, Kevin Durant. Come on, Kevin Durant.
One of the things I appreciated, and this is a quantifier you could test for coworkers and friends and people when they say this to you.
Also a qualifier.
Qualifier. I always use that wrong.
I know.
Well, I always say a quantifier.
Don't worry about it.
Well, it should be a qualifier. Here's an interesting tidbit when somebody shares with you what they've given up. So KD acknowledged that he hadn't had a beer since February.
He said a beer, though. He doesn't seem like a beer guy. Like, you haven't had a beer since, like, February 2011.
Yes! So my question is he not drinking liquor?
Yeah.
Is he not drinking wine?
Oh, no, he didn't mention that.
Is he not drinking champagne?
Oh, he didn't mention that. He said he hadn't had a beer.
Is medicinal included? What about tobacco?
It's like he was very specific. He's like, I haven't had a beer since February.
You know? Those are the questions you should ask. Those are the follow-ups. You get a guy.
That's why you need journalists like us in the room.
No question.
You can't have these serious journalists asking these questions.
Just professionals.
So they went out. They had their thing in the locker room. KD is pulling away in his chauffeured vehicle. I love how he held on to the MVP trophy. You give me a trophy, I'm holding on to it for at least a week. He's got the trophy. Asked the driver to stop as he's driving by some cheering fans outside of Oracle. He gets out of the car, holds the trophy up, and screams not really anything at the top of his lungs just to share the moment with the fans. I just kind of felt like he'd been hating on for a year. He was like, just someone show me some love. I just want to get some love.
You brought this story full circle.
Yeah.
By acknowledging at the beginning that KD at the sound of the buzzer was looking for
a teammate to give him a hug.
And he ended up hugging
the enemy, LeBron James.
And as you bring the story full circle, then he gets a chance to get the major embrace from the fans. Up close and personal. And I was in that audience of people that were trying. I was in that scrum of people that were trying to get out of the arena, and I wasn't necessarily trying to hug him in his MVP trophy.
No.
And I will tell you this, he couldn't pull out if he wanted to. So he had no choice but
just
to get out of the car.
Like, I might as well.
Because he only moved 30 feet an hour.
Oh, no, and anybody knows that if you go from, in New York City, if you go from one party to another, that 25 minutes in the cab is a real downer. You know, he's sitting there so excited, coming off a high, champagne, goggles everywhere, and he's in the car like, this is boring. I wish I had someone to hang out with. And then they finally get to the nightclub where they bought allegedly 80 bottles of champagne, $150,000. If I have an owner who's putting the tab, and they have over $1 billion, I'm spending way more than that. Yeah. I'm taking some bottles home with me. I'm ordering everything.
So what did they buy?
I believe it was 80 bottles of champagne. And there was a different type of alcohol they were also consuming. It's called Hennessy. Do you think Matt Barnes had anything to do with that?
Yeah.
If you're Matt Barnes, I hate to promote dysfunction, but he had a great week.
He sure did. He sure did.
Yeah.
I mean, your ex is riding with a dude that you used to play with.
It crashed your car.
It crashes a car in your name.
He's been writing the text to Derek Fisher and deleting it for like a week now, just to make sure it's as burning and painful as possible.
You go from being released by the Sacramento Kings to winning the championship with the Golden State Warriors.
He's a champion. He's an NBA champion.
Now, just like you said when KD was leaving the arena and he couldn't get through the audience, Matt Barnes flew to LA.
Yeah.
I love it.
Private. He probably had a helicopter on top of Oracle. And you know the first person that was looking down at their phone to see when the game ended? Derek Fisher.
Derek Fisher.
The season's over.
He sees those 3 dots from Matt Barnes all the time, and they just go away. He's just like, oh no.
He like, the season over?
The more 3 dots is up again. Oh, it just went away.
And he won enough championships. He knows when it's over.
Yeah,
he act like he ain't watching. He doing TV and everything.
Here's a wrinkle about this that I absolutely love, is Draymond Green's trainer had a video of Draymond from the practice facility working out this morning or this afternoon. I want to congratulate Draymond on his championship. He's the emotional leader of the team. He's one of the most valuable players in the team. I want to congratulate Draymond for getting himself into the gym the next day. However, when you look at the video, a little skeptical about that balance. Seemed like he had a little fun the night before. Maybe even had a little, like a .04.
Draymond.
You know, you don't really sweat it all out.
You're looking like a 2-time champion. That's a little hungover.
Yeah. He's trying to do that balance on one foot and one hand thing. It's like, give me a second. Okay,
He would have had a better chance of spinning on his head.
Good for him for getting in, though. Because anyone who's had a long night, not me, because I'm old, never done that before, but anyone who's had a long night, sweat it out the next day.
But that's the difference between being a current player and a retired player. Because a retired player, you get an executive.
Steam room. Yeah, you go to the steam room. He goes and works out,
steam room,
you just go to
shower,
the steam room.
Hot tub, rinse and repeat. Take a shower, then leave.
Yeah.
David West, who you mentioned earlier, had a very interesting perspective when the concept of how much money he gave up for the opportunity to play on this team was brought up to him by David Aldridge. Here's what he had to say.
But look, you can't take it with you. The Egyptians learned that. You can't bury and take the treasures with you. So it's about the small things in life, the accomplishments, man. It's about winning. And we set a goal. We worked every single day toward that goal, and nobody can ever take that away from us, straight up.
You might have to translate for me. What did the Egyptians teach, David West?
That you can't take, and I caught the word first time I heard it. Treasures. I appreciate where he was going, but if they would have lost the championship, he wouldn't feel that way.
He would have been like, wait a second, huh?
Because that would be the first time he still won the Western Conference.
He's tried this before. Let's be honest.
And in San Antonio, he paid $10 million to go there.
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
He wish he could have had that back.
But the thing that I appreciate about the journey is you never know when your opportunity is going to come. And they needed his minutes, his toughness.
They did.
His shot making, and his contribution in game
when he
5.
Kissed that ball off the glass and made it. And also when he kissed Tristan Thompson. I had to.
Oh, and get on my Bill Raftery. with the kids. I used to love when he used to do our games. I can't even shoot off the glass. I was trying to make bank shots, breaking them, just so I can go back and watch the VHS and see if he said that.
Shout out.
Ladies, call 985-80-JALEN. Leave us voicemails. We'll play them tomorrow. Exclusively, ladies, tomorrow on Jalen Jacoby for Woman Crush Wednesday.
Hey, ladies!
Today, we're all ears. Let's listen to the first voicemail.
Yo, Jalen Jacoby, what's good? It's Joe from the shop. Yo, Jalen, I know you want Mark Jackson to get another coaching job, man, but I'm not sure I want him to leave the sidelines with Van Gundy. They're too entertaining for him to leave. And secondly, Jalen, I know Reggie got you using that Sporting Waves or that Murray's, but man, you need to go with the Palmer's cocoa butter. Much healthier for the hair. Check it out. All right, fellas, good job. Keep it up. Love the show. Take care.
Thanks for the love. Let's address the Reggie part first.
Let's do that. Of course, we have to address the Reggie part on all the voicemails because Reggie's famous now.
So I defer to Reg on this. He says, I need black castor oil Jamaican.
I'm very familiar with Palmer's, though.
Shout out.
My wife puts Palmer's on our babies, puts Palmer's on everything.
Anything I do wave-related has to get clear through Reg.
Exactly, yeah.
He got me a do-rag. He got me a brush.
Yeah, he's your consigliere.
And here's the other thing. Mark Jackson is my brother. And if he starts to go coach, I could get his spot.
Oh, there you go. You
Maybe I'm saying it for
would be
selfish
great.
reasons.
Here, can you say this? Hand down, man down.
I can. But in all honesty, Colin Kaepernick is looking sideways at the fact that Mark Jackson doesn't have a coaching job in the NBA.
Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Yo, Jalen Jacoby, what's good? This is Sammy from Albany, New York. Shout out to 518. Now that KD is an NBA champion, I just like for Jalen to assess his hairline situation. And just a quick question. Now that he's the finals MVP, I think the NBA is going to finally give him a brush so he can brush his hair? All right. Thanks. Shout out 518.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love. So,
Shout out.
you can three-card Monty all you want, who you feel like is the second and third best player in the game. But for me, it's LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, in whatever order you want to go by.
That's the order, actually. That is the order.
So each of those individuals, while can get you big offensive numbers,
they all have unique hair
in various ways. They all have a different signature of their game.
Mm-hmm.
For LeBron, it's his ability to pass. For Kawhi, it's his ability to lock down on D.
Sure.
And for KD, he's a prolific scorer. Same for their hair. LeBron James, we've seen him go through the double headband, the single headband, the hairline,
Let me just
the
ask
pork
a
chop.
question. How much money has LeBron James invested in his hair?
Probably $1 million.
No. No, don't be crazy. Probably, I would say 200,000.
That's not enough.
He's had some procedures.
I'm going to ask you a different way.
Okay.
How much do I pay for a haircut?
But what you've invested into your hair is bigger than the GDP of, I would say, 30% of the countries on this planet.
So you don't think he's invested more?
I wasn't including haircuts. I was thinking more like procedures and surgeries and treatments.
That's an investment in your hair.
Okay. So $1 million's probably fair. $1 million's probably fair. Doesn't look like it. No. But that's what it costs.
That's one. Player down. Number two, Kawhi. He brought cornrows back. When people stopped wearing them, he stayed consistent. They weren't the thing to do. He stayed blue collar.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of a sudden, he brought them back. I see people rocking them again. Number three, KD. It's a little bit different sometimes when you see guys with the frohawks because there's a little method into making it twirl up.
It's a terrible hairstyle, and I feel like it looks good from straight on, which is how you look at yourself in the mirror. But if people could see their own profile with that haircut, I think they would stop having it. That's just my theory on that.
I agree. And who just wants to purposely have their hair where you can't put a comb through it?
Decent point. I can put a comb through my hair no matter what.
But lastly,
I'm a white person.
KD is going straight DMV with it. He doing shoulder shake at the free throw line with his hair. He going straight wire.
He's like, I'll worry about these points. I'll worry about these buckets. I'll worry about this championship. I'm not going to worry about the haters. I'm not going to worry about my hair.
He has that inner city BDB's nappy look. Straight up, on purpose. Like, I can't afford to get a haircut. Yeah. And the same thing with his beard. That thing's still growing.
Not even a shape up, though.
And now that's going to be something that people do. I'm not mad at the I'm on my grind look. At all.
There's always little things I notice about games because I'm an insightful professional journalist here at the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network. His mom grabbed him by the beard. In the post game, she grabbed him by the beard.
That probably meant now we can cut this off.
Yeah, now this whole thing is over, we can cut that off. Thanks so much for the call, Sammy. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
What up, Obi-Wan, Jacoby, and Jalen? It's Marvin from Perth, Australia. In answering to your question, Jacoby, we can't ride for Kyrie Irving in Australia because he was born in Melbourne, but he chose to represent Team USA. So therefore, we have to ride for Ben Simmons. And secondly, Jalen, I have a question for you. Do you think Serena Williams is in the top 3 greatest athlete of all time, both sexes included? Shout out, Reggie. Thanks.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love. I gotta say something that's really important.
What's that?
The way you feel about people saying Reggie is the way I feel about people saying Obi-Wan Jacoby.
Listen,
don't call this program and foster that nickname. We need that buried.
Look, the people support. What do? We give the people what they want. The people support Obi-Wan Jacoby.
How do you know? We never done a poll.
When we started arguing about it, I got tweets on tweets on tweets, which means like 4. I got a bunch of tweets about it supporting it, and like 2 people would be like, Obi-Wan Jacoby, soft move.
Listen to your audience. That's one.
Shout out to you, Marvin.
Shout out. The other thing, I always listen to the ear of the customer.
Okay.
And he distinctly told you while Kyrie has Australian roots, he played for Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
We got to bow down and respect that.
If wait until he's like 37. he'll be wearing that green and yellow.
And so he wants that person to be Ben Simmons.
Okay.
We'll see how it plays out. Yep. So let me get this right. We're acknowledging and celebrating a rivalry in the NBA, right?
As one develops right in front of our eyes, Mr.
Correct.
Rose.
The first trilogy just has taken place. The Cavs and the Warriors in the NBA Finals. This is a sign that I don't see slowing down over the next couple of years. The only player that could leave their current team, to me, and change the dynamics of the league is Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, no, there's more. Oh, no. If Chris Paul ends up on the Spurs, that changes the dynamics. It does. If Paul George ends up on the Cavs, if Jimmy Butler ends up on the Celtics, this changes the dynamic of the league.
Okay, hit the brakes.
I don't want to because you're going to say something mean about me.
Should.
I don't like it. I don't like it when you do that. You got long arms. You hit the brakes.
You know, I've been on the road for the last couple of weeks. We back in studio together.
Yeah.
You look handsome as ever.
Thanks, buddy.
Representing Carhartt.
Detroit, family-owned company.
You know what I mean? So please hit the brakes and let's talk about those examples.
Since you said please.
I love you too. So you mean Jimmy Butler going to Boston is going to do what?
Change the dynamics of the league, which is to quote Jalen Rose, who's sitting across the table from me.
Okay, in what way?
If the Celtics lose in 5 this year, they add Jimmy Butler or Gordon Hayward, they can challenge the Cavs in a 7-game series for sure.
Who would you pick?
Cavs.
Okay, so that's not changing the dynamics of the league.
Yes, it is, Mr.
If
Rose.
you're still picking the Cavs with LeBron James to win the East. Your next example, you said Paul George to the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
Who you giving up?
Kevin Love. Later.
Okay. Who's going to rebound?
LeBron James and Tristan Thompson.
Okay. You talking about Tristan Thompson that had 8 rebounds the first 3 games?
Breaking up with Chloe.
And here's the thing. The offseason for the Golden State Warriors, they picked up Kevin Durant. The Cavs picked up a Kardashian.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that wasn't going to go well.
And Darren Williams. Kyle Korver.
What was the other example you gave? I said Kawhi leaving. You said Chris Paul
going to the Spurs.
So we're going to put Chris Paul on the Spurs.
Sure.
Okay.
No taxes into Texas. He's not losing that much money. He said, you know what? I want to win a championship. That looked good what Kevin Durant did. I'm going to the Spurs.
So who's going to play up front?
Kawhi Leonard, old Pau Gasol, and scared, terrible LaMarcus Aldridge.
Okay.
Duh.
So how's that going to change the dynamics of the league again?
Championship caliber right there.
This is my point for the Warriors and why we should celebrate their excellence. When I look back at the NBA, I love to talk about things that have not been done, like Russell's 11 championships in 13 years. Mm-hmm. We're talking about best of enemies, Lakers and the Celtics, because they played a total of 8 of the 10 finals. One of those teams were there and winning the championship. The Bulls dynasty, we call it that. They won 3 championships twice.
And Jordan decided to take a sabbatical in the middle of it.
And when they did, Hakeem won back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shaq and Kobe. How many did they win? 3 straight. Like, in the NBA, we celebrate this dominance and excellence. I don't know where you new school fans of the game come along complaining about the fact that a team is great. When you watch this
is the good part.
When you watch
this is the good stuff.
The Lakers and the Celtics actually play against each other on that 30 for 30. Look at the roster again. And look at how many Hall of Famers are out there. When you watch the Bulls play, look at how many Hall of Famers they have on one team. Like, this is how the game has been, and this is why NBA rings are so hard to come by if you don't play with all-time great players. You ask anybody, how I feel to have 3 championship rings. As a matter of fact, I don't even care how it feels. How is it to play with Bill Russell? How is it to play with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Hey, tell me some Magic Johnson stories.
Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, what are they like?
You know, tell me more about MJ. What was it like to be around Shaq and Kobe?
Let me tell you something. Dirk Nowitzki stole a ring. Dirk Nowitzki stole a ring. Him and J.J. Barea just stole a ring.
And that happens. Where teams pop up.
Yep.
That's the beauty of sports. But the NBA, Celtics 17. Lakers 16. The Bulls 6. You ready for this? Newly minted and added. The Warriors 5. And the Spurs 5.
Okay, on the paper, the Warriors 5, sure, but this Warriors have 2, and they look like a team that is poised for more. They look like a team that's going to join those great teams that you mentioned, but in my mind, they aren't there yet. We're talking about the Bulls winning 6 out of 8 years.
What does it mean to you that only 5 franchises have won at least 5 championships?
It means to me that those 5 franchises are really well run, that players want to play for those 5 franchises, and it just so happens that those 5 franchises make the most money, which sort of like propels them to spend more money, which propels them to more championships. There's an inertia to championships.
Correct, and I love the use of the word inertia. When 50% of the league has never won a championship, half of the teams have never won a championship in their history. This dominance has existed. So LeBron and now basically the Avengers of Golden State adding KD to go with Steph and Clay and Draymond, and then all of a sudden Iguodala and David West and Sean Livingston making shots, and it's like, when is this going to slow down? I don't see it happening. This is the beauty of the league.
I see it slowing down. I do. I just see the Cavs challenging them. I also see unforeseen things. Like, it's just like the Greek Freak. We all look at him and we're like, he's going to be great. Do you know why we think he's going to be great? Because it looks like he's going to be great. But there are many factors that can come and derail that greatness, as we have seen through so many individual players, and we've seen it through teams. Teams have been poised to win championship after championship, most recently the Miami Heat, and you've seen what happened there. They got swept, LeBron left.
The Greek Freak example wasn't a good one, because the Greek Freak still has a chance as the only player to lead, as the only player in the history of the league to be top 20 in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. That analogy goes more for an older player. Like if you would have said
Brandon Roy or somebody who's projected to be really good and then gets injured, and then it's like, oh, remember?
Correct.
That is unrealized potential. That can happen to players and teams.
Or if you went the route of said player, future Hall of Famer Carmelo Anthony, going to New York to team with Amari Stoudemire. We thought that may be something.
Exactly.
But this is not the Golden State Warriors' problem.
No.
As long as they stay healthy, you see what's going to take place.
Can we talk about the celebration after this?
Let's get it.
Please, can we talk about them going to the club? Can we talk about Kevin
this?
Durant?
I was going to be a part of the celebration. Should I have hung out with Snoop and E40 or the Power Father?
You should hang out with us here on Jalen Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
I chose the Power Father.
LeBron James said it before the series even started. The Warriors are the better team. He didn't say it as clearly as I did, but he mentioned the firepower and how stressed out he was to prepare for this team. And when you watch the series, guess what? You figured out. The Warriors have the better team. So the question now is, what is next for these Cleveland Cavaliers?
Not to overreact. That usually happens among fans. What's happening in Cleveland, I'm going to parallel it to another team that's almost in a sunken place until they get a small forward. That's the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
The Clippers are gun-ho about keeping their team together.
Terrible idea. Get rid of Blake Griffin.
They're going to pay Chris Paul. They've already paid DeAndre Jordan. I said for months they're going to lose J.J. Redick.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned, what happens with Blake turns their fortunes to whether you're actually keeping this bunch together or you're going in another direction. They haven't made the conference championship. They've never made the NBA Finals. And they've clearly never won the championship. If you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, you just made it to the finals 3 straight times?
Yep.
Won a championship. Kyrie Irving has continued to ascend.
Yep.
He's become unstoppable on the final stage.
LeBron James has not started to descend either.
LeBron averaged a triple-double. He's still the best player in the game. You saw J.R. Smith still knocking down shots. Tristan giving him energy. But like Blake on the Clippers, to answer your question, you got to figure what you're going to do with Kevin Love.
And one of the problems is all of the people that you have brought up are all making lots of money against the cap. Not only that, they have J.R. Smith, $13 million against the cap, Shumpert, $10 million, Channing Frye, $7 million. They are $125 million in salary, and they've still got 4 empty spots. So it is, okay, we were dominated by the Warriors in the finals. We need to do something to make ourselves better. But what can they do? Do you think that they keep the core, the big 3, and then try to build some defenders, some two-way players around them? Or do you trade an Irving or a Love?
Those moves always are dictated by what you're going to get in return.
Yes, and they're going to do what gives them the best value. Because so us talking about it in a vacuum, you don't know what's on the other side of the table, so it's hard to really predict.
One of the glaring weaknesses I saw, and again, each team has them. That's why no team has ever went undefeated, which is why no great player has won a championship every year.
Steph almost had a quadruple-double with turnovers.
I remember sitting there watching at some point in the game when Tristan, Love, LeBron, or KD aren't in the game, and Draymond to a large extent. When all of those players weren't in the game, there were multiple periods, in particular in the first half. Looked like a 6-7 and under league.
Looks like no one wanted to shoot, and no one could get a shot to shoot.
And so, to further acknowledge what you were trying to ask me, rim protection. You want to get some wing defense so LeBron doesn't have to be the only guy, I said it, that can even try to guard somebody like KD or Kawhi when they come to town. But also, when players don't fear getting their shot blocked, or a contest clearly lowers your percentage of accuracy, oh man, I'm confident. If I can make a jump shot and you run out at me, that's a layup. Nobody down there to intimidate me, block it, foul me. Andre Iguodala was going down the lane getting dunks. Do you know his field goal? Do you know his free throw percentage?
33% or something?
Correct. He should never get a dunk.
He wasn't just getting dunks. They were allowing him to dunk, and he was dunking easily, and he was surprised he was about to dunk right before he dunked every single time. But I don't think you trade Kyrie Irving. He is that special. I just think that would be silly. He is that special. Kevin Love, do you ever think about when you're out of here?
Boston, Indy.
If you look, Chicago, New York, like I think that there needs to be some very serious conversations between the important people in the Cleveland Cavaliers franchise, which are basically Rich Paul and LeBron James, and they need to decide whether or not Kevin Love is going to be on this roster next year, and they need to look at the market and say, what could we get in return for Kevin Love?
Here's the thing for Love. A player last year that was really disappointing throughout the playoffs, though the team won a championship, the low point being benched versus the Toronto Raptors, a high point, I guess, getting a defensive stop late in Game 7 versus Steph.
Big stop. 2 defensive stops. 2 stops in 1 possession.
This year, he rebounded. He played terrific all year, made the All-Star team, and through the NBA playoffs up until the finals, the Big Three in Cleveland were playing as well as they've ever performed.
They were a Big Three.
To the point where in the Eastern Conference playoffs, they totaled 93 points in the game, I think against Boston. In the finals, that actually happened in the game. They scored 94.
Here's another thing that happened in the game in the finals. They lost in a very close game when Kevin Love went 1 for 9 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3.
And so you can say, what do you give up in Kevin Love? You give up 2 distinct things, though. He's a terrific rebounder.
Yes, one of the best.
And passer.
Yes, especially the outlets.
He also has become a legit knockdown stretch 4.
He has.
Who can also post up smaller guys. So I just gave you a lot of versatility. He's a really good player. The problem is when I see him in the finals the last 2 years against the Golden State Warriors, the team you want to beat, he's come up small.
He has.
So that is what you're looking to address, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Another thing that would be really interesting to see how it plays off for this Cleveland Cavaliers offseason is this. Their general manager is kind of on the market. You know what I mean? It's like you always talk about these.
LeBron James?
No.
Agent?
Being dead serious, David Griffin is interviewing with other teams, getting rumored of moving. So it's not just the players on the roster that you have to think about.
Matt Carter did move to L.A. Yeah.
No, David Griffin. You got red hair, white guy.
Oh, gotcha.
Suit on. Yes. It's interesting to see if he stays. Because I think that will sort of kind of tell you what is going to happen with the Cavs this offseason. That will be sort of the butterfly flap that could lead to the chaos that will be this Cavs offseason. Do you think Kevin Love starts next year in a Cavaliers uniform?
And we putting it on wax.
Yes.
Does he finish next year in a Cavaliers uniform?
No.
I don't think so either. No. Let me just name 4 players that could eventually, potentially, be in a Cavaliers uniform. You tell me which is most likely. Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Carmelo Anthony, Boogie Cousins.
The least likely is Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
He's still under contract a couple of more years. Paul George doesn't have to go to Cleveland to run with LeBron James. I've told everybody he can run with LeBron James.
But if you're the Pacers, you're saying he's going to leave anyway. Let's get something back for him, and they could be some sort of junky trade with the Cavs.
So you saying go run a year in Cleveland with LeBron, and then both of y'all going to leave and go to L.A.?
See what happens.
And play with Lonzo Ball?
What about Boogie?
He's the most interesting person that you named. If I was them, would do that in a heartbeat.
The Pelicans kind of lucked into Boogie. They weren't like out there trying to get Boogie on the team. They just got a really good deal during the All-Star break and were like, fine, we'll take him.
And who did the Kings get again?
Buddy,
name me right now who the Kings got for
Buddy
Boogie.
Hield, like Grievous Vasquez, and then some other guys. I don't know, Buddy Hield.
Any basketball fans, tell me who the Kings got for Boogie Cousins.
Buddy Hield and some other players. What about Carmelo Anthony?
I think Carmelo has a better chance to end up with the Clippers. I don't like him as a starter with LeBron with the Cavs.
I think LeBron likes it more than he should. I think he likes him on the banana boat, but that doesn't really translate when you have a very similar skill set to not your isolation player. You've already got 2 isolation players. They are 2 of the best isolation players in the entire game on your team. You do not need a third.
After Game 3 and I pay attention to this, Kyrie's buckets are loud. I think he dribbled during that game around 450 times, while KD and Steph combined to dribble around that same amount of time.
Before the champagne-soaked carpets in the Oracle locker room were even dry, we were already talking about whether or not they would visit the White House. However, for listeners of Jalen and Jacoby,
To everyone else, it's breaking news. To Jalen and Jacoby listeners, it's broken news.
here is Jalen Rose from November 9th, 2016, the day after our current president was elected into office.
What I want to put on wax is now that Donald Trump will be the commander-in-chief, don't be surprised when multiple athletes decline the opportunity to visit the White House.
The Warriors put out a statement, quote, "Today is all about celebrating our championship. We have not received an invitation to the White House, but we'll make those decisions when and if necessary."
I hear the semantics. I hear the tomfoolery.
Yep, it's already started.
I already know how this works when it's $1 billion conglomerate and a lot of power on the other side.
We know how this is going to go.
We didn't get invited.
We didn't get invited, and when and if it's necessary. Now, here's the thing. Shouldn't have had the Clemson football players over. Because now that you're already having the Clemson team into your home at
And
the White
Patriots.
House, and you're celebrating champions, it's going to look real funky when you come up with some excuse to not invite the Warriors. There's already been a couple Warriors, some rumblings, some reports, nothing confirmed that they would not attend a White House visit. But we all know, those of us that pay attention, those of us who have listened to Steve Kerr over the years, we all know that there would be some members of this team and coaching staff that would politely decline an invitation to the White House, which will eventually lead to what, Jalen Rose? No invite coming.
This is how you do the corporate spin. And a couple of people just off the top of my head come to mind. Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, David West.
Hang on.
That's just free.
They're not going.
That was just on my KRS-One. Like, I didn't even think twice.
Yes, they're not. And to not have the head coach there, and to not have Draymond Green and David West there, who have been reported as rumblings of already saying that they wouldn't go, and then the PR person at the Warriors hit them up real quickly. Let's not talk about this.
And plus, Klay Thompson you don't mess with his free time.
Exactly. This is off season.
This is off season.
Yeah, it's whatever.
This is off season.
And you know what? The Warriors are looking at themselves today. They're feeling themselves. They're like, we're going to win 5 more.
No question. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he was with Snoop and E40 after the game. Don't worry about him.
Probably.
And so, again, our commander, as I called him then, in chief, now I call him our commander in tweets. Respectfully, he does tweet a lot of important things on his account.
Hold on.
And now, the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
Please continue.
And so, it's not going to be all sports. However, I want to make this distinction. For whatever happens in golf or tennis or NASCAR or hockey, the dynamics are going to be a lot different. Baseball is going to be a lot different.
Let me ask a very direct question, Jalen Rose. Will the Penguins get invited to the White House and the Warriors not get invited to the White House?
The Penguins are already there.
Do you think the Warriors will not even receive an invite? Because that's where I think this is headed.
Sid the Kid probably on the lawn right now.
Do you think the Penguins will get an invite and the Warriors will not receive an invite?
The corporate spin is going to be that they couldn't come up with a date to actually make it happen to satisfy both parties, so they just decided not to do it for now.
They respectfully, mutually decided that they couldn't make it work this year. It's going to get real awkward if they win again and it happens again.
And I can't front, like, the dynamic of the two sports that I talked about, where multiple players and teams will not only decline staying in Trump hotels when they go to town,
something that's quietly already happening in the NBA,
but also decline the opportunity to go to the White House. They're predominantly black sports. Mm-hmm. And he did run a divisive campaign, one that he won. I hear a lot of chatter for those that support that side, and I'm not here to judge. I respect the office. I'm a taxpaying citizen. I can have my opinion. which is just stop saying it was because such and such didn't vote. He didn't win the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. For anybody with a light bulb in their head should clearly know the difference. And so this will continue to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the Patriots, however, were unique because their owner, their coach, and their star quarterback in their own ways have shown their fondness for the
have
commander
had
and
a
tweets.
history with him in some way or another. We're not in the voting booth with those people, but one would not be surprised to find out that they supported Mr. Trump on November 8th.
Trust me, when they get Brandon Cooks, Goodell like, yes, we want them to win it. We don't want to see Seattle win it. Because you want me to start naming some players on their team that I think wouldn't go?
No.
And so because of that dynamic, don't get surprised, which is why in November of 2016, I was already putting it out there.
Remember where you heard this first. Not only will the Warriors not attend, there will not be a formal official date agreed upon and an invite extended. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that this conversation is happening right now.
And we putting it on wax.
Steve Kerr. I saw a video of him drinking from one of those gigantic champagne bottles, going straight out of the bottle in the nightclub. Somewhere his doctor was like, come on, Steve. Steve.
And it wasn't about him drinking. It's about him holding the bottle. He got a bad
Yeah,
bag.
he got a bad bag. Those are heavy. And you got to pour it into that tiny little glass. It just seems logistically difficult. There's people at the club that'll do that for you, Steve. 80 bottles of champagne seems excessive. I always said this. Champagne is not what you want to order when you go to a nightclub. When you're in the locker room, you can do the spray thing and all of that, the goggles on. I get that. When you get to the nightclub, get yourself some hard liquor, like Matt Barnes and his Hennessy. Get yourself some hard liquor, some good mixers. Make yourself some cocktails.
When the Golden State Warriors closed out the series, the person that got some hard liquor was Derek Fisher. You're like, uh-oh, Matt Barnes, serious? The season's over?
I love KD was at his presser being like, I'm talking too much. I've had too many beers. I need to shut this down.
I like that he said he didn't have a beer since February.
Doesn't mean he hasn't drank since February. Let's just say that. That just,
Maybe he hasn't.
That's like when you say something to your wife that's not a lie, that's actually the truth, but it's not the whole truth. That's what it reminded me of. Also, KD just seems so happy. Good for him. It's great for him.
I'm going to get KD on the program.
I love LeBron's presser. He's like, I left it on the floor. Left it on the floor.
Don't blame me.
The last 4 possessions, LeBron was like, I'm just going to dunk. I'm
Wasn't
going
me.
to dunk on Iguodala 4 times in a row.
Wasn't me.
Just to remind everybody that I'm the best player here.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't.
In my
Don't
Eddie
look at
Murphy
me.
voice.
Don't look at
wasn't
me in my hat with that weird spine down the middle. Don't look at me. I'm not the guy.
I hope the end of these finals means the end of those hats. I didn't like those.
Last year, this thing is last year. Remember, he was double-breasted suit every single game. He looked like the Wolf of Wall Street for every finals game last year. This year, he looked like one of the dudes in my neighborhood that has a rock band.
He looked like he was dressing for the visual. Last year, a team that he felt like had what it takes to win it all. You want to remember those images of the podium. You want to forget these.
Yeah, hat
like
real
your bad
low.
hair days.
Yeah,
like when I look back at my red and white suit. He wanted to forget those.
He wore a motorcycle jacket to 2 different games. LeBron, I know you've got more than one jacket. You're not like me packing for a 4-day trip.
Cam Newton did it.
I know. No, this is different. This is 2 days apart. One was in Cleveland and one was in the Bay. Come on, LeBron.
Cam Newton got off the plane with the same outfit on one day and had it on going to the game the next day.
That's because he didn't want to get it wrinkled. I've done that before. You don't want to fold it up and get it wrinkled? Just wear it. And then take it off and put it on a hanger when you get to the hotel.
Get healthy, Cam.
Cam's healthy. He's fine. He's fine.
He's throwing underhand.
He'll be playing. We have some non-NBA Finals related news, Mr. Rose. Remember yesterday, it was reported that the Nevada Athletic Commission had a request for the MGM Grand Arena. On August 26th, before the Canelo Triple G fight, the Mayweather Promotions was going to put on a show that would air on Showtime. And we all thought that would mean Mayweather-McGregor was finally going to happen this summer. Well, guess what? They've reported that he has retracted that request. So perhaps this was just a way for people to talk about a potential fight for a day. It's not going to happen.
He has until actually Wednesday to resubmit if he truly wants the date.
Yep.
At that point is when I'll reach out to him and see if it's really going to happen or not.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to go back and forth with him.
Yeah. We talked about this off wax, and you were like, I already requested a hotel that day. Come on, Floyd. Come on, Floyd. I booked my room.
I'm not going back and forth about this. Dude, I'm trying to put my summer schedule together.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to hit him up.
Floyd.
Is y'all fighting on the 26th? So just let me know.
You've got some travel to
if
work out.
If you don't want me to say it on the show, I won't.
Yeah.
And then I'll say it on the show.
Then you'll say it on the show anyway. He's not listening. He listens to the podcast. We'll have Reggie edit it out. Danny Ainge. I think the Celtics are seen as one of those second-tier teams that could slide into an NBA Finals if things broke the right way. That's fair to say. Danny Ainge said, quote, "We are used to long odds. If Golden State makes the odds longer, we might up our risk profile and get even more aggressive. We have something up our sleeve."
The thing that he's had up his sleeve has worked truly well. That's acquiring and drafting players.
Mm-hmm.
Here recently, I'm talking in post-Big Three, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, KG era. However, now it's time to parlay those picks.
It is. If you look at a team that had a great job drafting and cultivating young players into stars and effective NBA players, and then, I don't know, just added one big superstar, sounds like the Golden State Warriors. Sounds like something the Celtics could do.
It sounds that way, but there isn't a Kevin Durant caliber game-changing superstar to do it.
Oh, what about Gordon Hayward? Come on, man. You love Gordon Hayward.
I do.
You love Gordon
Hayward.
Hayward.
But he's not Kawhi Leonard.
No, he's not. No. He's not Kevin Durant. No. He's Gordon Hayward. Jimmy Butler.
Beating LeBron.
Coming to the Celtics. Pair Jimmy Butler. Some of the pieces they have. Isaiah Thomas. Horford.
Big shout out to Rajon Rondo. Just got a chance to break bread with him during the finals.
Shout out.
When he got hurt, what happened to the Bulls? Wasn't Jimmy Butler playing?
Yes.
So, let me get this right. You lose to the Celtics because you the dude, like KD did with OKC.
Just like KD.
Now, you go and lift the Celtics.
No, you get a phone call that says you've been traded to the Celtics. And you say, okay.
But the difference is, you're not LeBron or KD, and you definitely not joining the 73-win team. But the Celtics are one of the most unique cases because you usually don't see a number one seed have the number one pick. But they didn't have a shot really against the Cavs.
They weren't really the number one seed. The Cavs lost that overtime game in Atlanta, and they were like, whatever.
They were the first team that I saw be a number one seed. I was like, they have no chance.
Yeah, no chance at all.
But I applaud what Ainge has done. I love Brad Stevens. I applaud Isaiah Thomas and his perseverance and how he endured his personal tragedy along with still being a productive basketball player. Talked about Avery Bradley for years. Al Horford played a lot better than I gave him credit for during the regular season while in the playoffs. But you're not beating LeBron and Kyrie. And in this case, Kevin Love had his way against them.
Remember Kyrie in that series?
So you can add Jimmy Butler, not getting past LeBron.
No. Quick news story here. It's very important. KFC is going to launch a Zinger chicken sandwich into space or on the edge of our atmosphere, okay? Which got me thinking about KFC because I'm a Popeyes person. Is KFC or Arby's the most overrated fast food chain?
Arby's.
Arby's is completely useless as a fast food chain. Is there anybody that you know somebody who's like, I ride for those roast beef sandwiches. When I get off a plane, I need to have one of those Arby's roast beef sandwiches. When's the last time you had an Arby's sandwich?
I'm not sure if I've ever had one.
Like, I honestly think I last had one when I was in like 7th grade. Those sandwiches are disgusting.
That's definitely cultural. Yeah. And the first thing that comes to mind when you say that KFC is doing that, they got some high-level brothers working in the company.
Our producers, we often complain, don't get into
Breaking
our ears.
news. Breaking news.
Don't get into our ears enough when we say things wrong, like it's Rapid Forte when it's really too short. And but they broke in while I was reading something. I'm reading a promo for our network. Then Reg just has to get in my ear while I'm literally reading something and be like,
breaking news. We have
Twitter is going hard for
development.
Arby's right now. No one goes hard for Arby's. Okay? Have you ever been to an Arby's and be like, no, the line is too long. I'm not going. Never happened. It has never happened.
At Chick-fil-A?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely happened at Chick-fil-A. Because people are passionate about Chick-fil-A. Arby's is the only... Answer this way. You can name a competitor for every single fast food genre. There's a reason there's no one else on the roast beef corner. There's a reason for that. There's a reason. There's Del Taco for Taco Bell. There's Burger King for McDonald's. There's Popeyes and Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's Panda Express and your local Chinese spot. But there is no other.
Coney Island.
There is no other.
Fat Burger.
Competitor
Wingstop.
In the roast beef market. For a reason.
Popeyes.
So if you want to tweet about how great Arby's is, I can't even disagree with you because I don't eat Arby's.
What about Carl's?
If Arby's wants to sponsor the show, I'll reverse this real quick. I'll eat Arby's.
Such a sellout.
Way sold out.
I will too.
Let's open up our 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed and take questions from you, our people. We have some good questions. First from Andrew. Taking your dog to the bar, boss move or soft move?
Soft move.
I gotta meet this dog. If it's a little dog that barks a lot, soft move. If it's just an old dog, got gray hair, just wants to lie down and not even get up no matter what's happening, I'm fine with that.
Unless for health or personal reasons,
service dogs,
you clearly need a dog.
Here's one thing I've learned: don't get the service dog vest and all that unless you're really using it as a service dog. A lot of people just use that as an excuse to fly with it on planes.
And obviously, if you clearly need and/or rely upon that service, we support.
No shots at service. I'll take shots at Arby's.
1,000%.
No shots at service dogs.
With that being said, leave your dog at home. Because the other patrons don't want to be bothered with your dog while they're trying to eat and drink.
No, here's the thing. Do you know what they want to do? They want to walk over and pet it for 10 seconds and say it's cute, but they don't want to deal with it for the other 2 hours.
And then you go put your hand on your plate and go put your hand on your drink and need some sanitizer.
Hairs around. Thanks for the question. Here's a theory from Mike. Mike says, would you agree that KD is Golden State's best player, but that Steph is their most important player? Steph instills a different kind of fear in other teams.
How about that?
I'm going to respectfully disagree. Do you know who I think the best player is? The person who just guarded LeBron James in 5 straight games. The person who
That's not
won
necessarily
the
accurate.
finals. Who started possessions guarding LeBron James for most of the time in 5 straight games. And the person who's 7 feet tall, can dribble down, cross over twice, and pull up from 3. I'll take that guy.
The distinction is there's a difference between being the best player on the best team, which KD is currently, and the most valuable player. Of the league, that's LeBron James. Of that team, you have to say it's Steph Curry because he helped create a culture that KD wanted to come and be a part of. And his team eliminated KD's last year.
That was Klay Thompson. That wasn't even the team. That was Klay Thompson single-handedly winning Game 6. Someone did an article, shout out to you, I forgot who you are, that broke down all of the things that happened because of that 8 minutes of Klay Thompson being on fire. It was very interesting. John Dre 3000 has another question. Who was the most unsung hero of the finals? Rihanna. Duh. Yep. Rihanna's the only person who made it interesting.
Yep. You just named him, Klay Thompson.
Huh. Good point. I'll go with you
because at the start of each basketball game, you know what he's doing for Steph? Guarding his man. And you know what else he's required to do? Make open shots. And still play with a stoic demeanor. Because I was in the arena. Kyrie was giving him the business.
Yeah.
Now, was he continuing to compete? Yeah. But there were multiple games where Kyrie hit over 10 field goals.
There was also this happening where Steph's guy would want to set a pick on Kyrie, not just that last final one in Game 3. And he'd be like, don't worry. Don't save your energy. I'm going to go by him just like I would go by Steph. So save your energy. I still got this. That was in Game 5.
No doubt about it. Unsung hero, Klay Thompson.
I'm also going to throw out Steve Kerr here. Came back, dealing with health issues, clearly wasn't his best. But I think that part of the Warriors staying consistent with their effort and abilities and coming back in Game 3 and bouncing back after Game 4 had something to do with their leader, Steve Kerr.
And don't sleep, Steve Kerr. 3 with the Bulls, 2 with the Spurs, 2 with the Warriors.
He's got a handful and then some.
Got 7 rings.
He's looking at Phil like, Kyle, great question from Kyle. Who did LeBron call last night in the parking lot?
Last night in the parking lot, Magic.
Ooh, Irv?
If I had to do my...
You know what Irv did? Irv looked at his phone and was like, nah.
Podfather, Swami, and just hypothetically create somebody for him to call. He didn't physically call or text him, but he did mentally. I'm already throwing this out there. You're going to see other people talk about it as breaking news.
It's going to get picked up.
It's going to be at the bottom of the ticker. And I threw it out there on First Take. And before I said it, let me know some footage of people talking about it. Now it's going to be back out there. So to answer your question, hypothetically, that would be the phone call.
Michael has a question. What do I do when I miss a Jalen and Jacoby? Please help me. This is very important. Here's what you do, Michael. Subscribe to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast. You will never miss a Jalen and Jacoby when you subscribe to the podcast. Go onto iTunes, rate our podcast 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. Review our podcast. Say some nice things. Give us some constructive criticism. We will read it.
And big shout to Fate, who do a terrific job of supporting the students of the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. And I'm rocking a Merit hoodie.
Shout out.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio.
Thank you.
Watching on ESPN2. And subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.
Did you forget what you were going to say?
No, I like to do a little pause first.
Good job.
We out.